Okay, well, thank you for joining me one last time for my last piece of evidence. So as you can see, I've come to a place which is near where I live, which is quite special to me. So this is the River Severn, and this is a slipway. They have the original Severn crossing, and you can see, so the lights over in the distance there, that's Bristol, and the second Severn crossing. That's another little bit of Bristol. So the reason that I brought you here is over millions of years this river has existed, and over millions of years it has had a relationship with the land. Okay, so I'm trying to relate this one back to my subject area. So you can see, as far as I can see, pretty much there's some sort of relationship going on. So whether that is, for example, just down here you have the ebb and flow of the tide, and how that's going to help move those pebbles about, and how that's then going to create different environments for different invertebrates and those sorts of animals. If we go back over to this side, over here, this river is famed for its mudflats, and these mudflats provide a really rich environment for a huge variety of wildfowl across the years, especially through winter. They get to find their food in all the mudflats, and obviously as the tide goes out, the more mudflats there are, the more likely you are to see wildfowl here. Shell ducks are really common, dippers, turnstones. We have quite a wide, diverse selection. So by this point you're probably thinking, wow, what's he getting at? Well, evidence number 4 is about the ever-changing relationship of the student and lecturer. Now, John Hattie has found that the relationship between student and lecturer is one of the most likely influences on a student's success, which is ultimately, I hope, the end game for all educators. They want their students to be a success in however that may be. So now some days I really think, do you know what, I really want all these students to pass. Other days I think I really want these students to get a job at the end of this course, or to progress on to further education. Really and truly, it is endless, and my opinion would change from day to day whenever you ask it. However, what I'm trying to get at here is the relationships are really important, but actually they're being forced to change. Now, at a union conference this weekend in London called Cradle to Grave, ran by the UCU union, of which I'm a member, we were talking a lot about how students have never more been seen as customers, okay, and how actually they're being weaponized at times against lecturers. Now, yes, we all know that the government funds a huge amount of what students receive. So, for example, I am under no misconception at all that it is the funding that we receive from the government that pays my wages every year, which, you know, as I said, I'm under no misconception about that. However, what I am under a misconception about is that student being able to almost hold me to ransom because they attract that funding which pays my wages. Now, I don't think that's correct, and I don't think that's very fair for them or for me. When you get into HE funding, I think perhaps it differs ever so slightly, because the students have a larger idea and a clearer conception of what money truly means, what funding is, how it works. And actually at HE they're taking out student loans a lot of the time, which they are possibly going to have to pay back over the years to come, as long as they get successful employment. However, FE students aren't like that. That's not how FE funding works. And so that's not the case. So weaponizing them so they become weaponized consumers is changing that relationship that's taken since the day one of teaching to build up and to really understand. And there's a lot of research out there that will suggest that it is that relationship that's important. It's a very delicate relationship, such as John Hattie, and he's done a lot of research to find that actually it is one of the most important factors. So what this is about, for example, if we were to dam this river now, so we put a nice big dam in the middle of these two bridges, what's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. The environment is going to change. The wildlife populations would change because of that. The ecosystems themselves would change. So for example, these mudflats here and the ones that are obviously under the water have been developed and created by evolution, you could say, or by nature over millions of years, and they are able to withstand what they currently have. So for example, the animals that live in those mudflats that feed the waterfowl can survive and thrive by being covered with water for X amount of time every day by the tide when it's at high tide. And then when low tide's out, obviously they can survive those conditions. However, if we put a nice big dam across this river and we change that, so let's say we decided to keep from this point up, now we're at Chepstow, and this runs all the way up past Colford and Lydney and up into the Forest of Dean. Now let's say that we decided to actually keep from here up for 3 weeks of the month at high tide. Everything's going to change, and that's what I'm trying to get at. If we change that relationship by changing the mindsets and the stature of which a student and a lecturer stand, we're going to have that negative impact, and that's what can't happen. That's what's so important, and that's why I'm at here today. So this is me. Really cold. It's about 3 degrees out here, and again, I'll remind you, on my personal holiday, I have taken this time off work to try and relax and, you know, to get a break, which I think I deserve personally. But at the same time, I'm doing work, I'm doing this CPD, I'm trying to think of inventive, creative, innovative ways in which to present this information to you, and hopefully that's working. So I'm going to sign off now because my fingers are starting to tingle, and thank you for listening.